Welcome, everyone. Monday, March 25th, 2024. It's time for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. Will the clerk certify the meeting notice?
This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Here.
Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Here.
Thank you. Next is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Move down to special business. I've got 4 proclamations tonight and a scratchy throat. So it's the mayor's dream. So if I stop and get a sip of water, you'll know what I'm doing. But it's my pleasure to announce these proclamations because it's all really, really good stuff. Good stuff. We'll start with the first one. This is for Make-A-Wish. Whereas on April 29th, 1980, Department of Public Safety officers and members of the community in Phoenix, Arizona, came together to grant the wish of Chris Grecius, a 7-year-old boy battling leukemia who wished to be a police officer. And whereas Chris's wish inspired 6 of the people involved to form a foundation that would grant life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses. The organization known as Make-A-Wish has since granted more than 520,000 wishes worldwide, operating in every community in the U.S. and nearly 50 countries worldwide. And whereas Make-A-Wish Idaho was founded in 1986 and has granted more than 2,000 wishes that deliver hope and joy back to the lives of children with critical illnesses in Idaho. And whereas research has shown that wishes can improve a child's quality of life and produce better health outcomes. When a wish is granted, a child replaces fear with confidence, anxiety with hope, sadness with joy. And now, therefore, I, John G. Evans, Mayor of Garden City, Idaho, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 will be celebrated as World Wish Month in recognition of the anniversary of Chris's wish that inspired the founding of Make-A-Wish and subsequently Make-A-Wish Idaho and the Global Wish Granting Movement, dated this 25th day of March, 2024. After we do all 4 of them, then we're going to recess for a minute and we'll get pictures with, if okay. Next proclamation is for Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children is celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 6th to 12th, 2024. And whereas we are working to promote and inspire high-quality early childhood experiences for our state's youngest citizens that can provide a foundation of learning and success for children in Garden City, Idaho. And whereas teachers and others who work with or on behalf of young children from birth through age 8 who make a difference in the lives of young children in Garden City deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and the prosperity of our society. Now, therefore, I, John G. Evans, Mayor of the City of Garden City, do hereby proclaim April 6 to 12, 2024 as Week of the Young Child in Garden City, Idaho, and encourage all citizens to work to support and invest in early childhood in Garden City, and do hereby recognize that when our community invests in early childhood education and educators, we also invest in our children and families. Dated this 25th day of March, 2024. Okay. Whereas the series of wars and conflicts in which our nation has been engaged over time since World War II has resulted in 5.5 million military and veteran caregivers who are parents, spouses, siblings, and friends, caring for those wounded, ill, or injured who have served our nation, as documented by the 2014 RAND study commissioned by Elizabeth Dole Foundation. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And whereas the daily tasks of these military and veteran caregivers can include bathing, feeding, dressing, and caring for the injuries of wounded warriors, administering medications, providing emotional support, caring for the family and the home, and working outside the home to earn essential income. And whereas the nation provides multifaceted support to our wounded, ill, and injured veterans and service members through public, private, and philanthropic resources, but their caregivers receive little support or acknowledgement. And whereas most military and veteran caregivers consider the challenging work they do as simply carrying out their civic and patriotic duty, without realizing they are in fact caregivers and do not identify themselves as such. And whereas an alarming number of military and veteran caregivers, according to research, are suffering numerous debilitating mental, physical, and emotional effects as a result of their caregiving duties. And whereas the city of Garden City desires to recognize
Mr. Mayor, would you like to designate a reader? Thank you. Yes. Whereas the city of Garden City desires to recognize and support those serving in these vital roles in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the city of Garden City announces its support for military and veteran caregivers in our communities and encourages all who care for and support veterans and service members to extend their support to caregivers. Dated this 25th day of March 2024, signed by Mayor John G. Evans, Mayor of Garden City, Idaho. Next. Proclamation. Whereas being a bowler is more about getting strikes, spares, or splits, it is also a fun way to build character, confidence, and teamwork. Mr. Mayor, do you want to resume or should I?
I can't jump.
He bowls better than he speaks. I'll talk over, excuse me. Whereas being a bowler is more than getting strikes, spares, or splits. It is a fun way to build character, confidence, and teamwork. All traits needed to succeed on the lanes and in the real world. And whereas the Ada County United States Bowling Congress, USBC Association, is the largest association in the state of Idaho with approximately 2,500 bowlers. And whereas bowling is a great way to celebrate something special or just have a fun night with friends and family. And whereas the Treasure Valley offers many locations to join a league for any age or skill level with family, friends, or coworkers. And whereas the city of Garden City is proud to host the Idaho State USBC Open Championships for 2024 and welcome the players to our community. Now, therefore, Mayor John G. Evans does hereby proclaim April 2024 as Go Bowling Month in the city of Garden City, Idaho, and encourages all citizens to get out and visit the local bowling alley to see what the fun is all about. Dated this 25th day of March 2024, signed John G. Evans, Mayor, Lisa Libby, City Clerk, James Page, Council President, William Jacobs, City Council, Kent Rasmussen, City Council.
Very good, thank you. It's picture time, so we'll recess for a minute. We ready? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order at 6:20. Next item on our agenda. Want to welcome Sheriff Clifford. Sheriff, you want to come up here? Welcome, pleasure to have you here. I think Lisa will get you.
Right. Mayor and council, thank you for having me tonight. This is kind of my biannual update, if you will. I was here about 2 years ago and I like to come by every couple of years. Sometimes there are new mayors, new council people. So here I am to kind of give you an update about our agency. Some of it is a little bit from 2 years ago, but I recently gave a presentation to a club where they asked specifically about some of the things that we do to give back to the community and work with victims. So I kind of took that and brought it with me for something that's not just, here's what we do at the sheriff's office. So with that, we'll get going. So the Ada County Sheriff's Office is the largest law enforcement agency in the state of Idaho. We have about 850 employees. We are very committed to giving the best possible service we can to the community. And our mission statement is we make safer places for you to live, work, and play. With a large agency, we're divided into 5 different bureaus, all seen here: police services, jail, court, administrative, and communications. So we'll run through those really quickly to show you how we divvy up the responsibilities throughout the agency. A little bit of a overall look at the county. You can see on the map there, all of the white is unincorporated Ada County. So we are responsible for all of that. And then, as you know, we team with Eagle, CUNA, and Star to provide them with police departments. So we patrol approximately 1,164 square miles of land and over 2,100 miles of roadway. Police services. This is what you see out your front door, probably the most noticeable of our agency, the piece of our agency. We have, like most police services around the state of Idaho, we have a SWAT team, which we do in conjunction with Garden City Police and Meridian Police Department. We have one of the largest canine units in the state. An action team that is basically our street crimes unit. They're kind of a Swiss Army knife of flavor of the day, whether it's going out and apprehending some of the most dangerous felons in our communities, or, hey, we need you to fill in here. We need you to go to a HOA meeting. They kind of do it all. We have our own crime lab. It's not as big as ISPs, but we are really shooting into the future. My big goal for the next couple of years is for us to be able to do all of our own DNA testing so we can actually team up with agencies here in Ada County and get faster results for everybody and solve crimes a little bit faster. We also have things that police departments don't have, like a Marine Patrol unit. We have a large UTV unit, which includes dual sport bikes, a UTV, and all kinds of things that we can head out into the desert and the foothills in case we need to do search and rescue or just respond to certain types of calls that you don't see down in the cities as much. Moving on to our Administrative Services Bureau, we handle a lot of records from the courts, and oftentimes all the records come in, especially during business hours, and we shoot them out to other agencies. It's kind of the beehive of our agency, I always say, where all the information pours in and they got to figure out where to send it all over agency. That particular piece of the Ada County Sheriff's Office touches every part of the agency. We contract with, or Boise City contracts with us to do their property and evidence for BPD. And then statutorily, the sheriffs are required to do all the driver's licenses in the counties. So I don't know why that is a law, but it is. So anywhere in Idaho, the sheriffs run the driver's license bureaus as well as concealed weapons. We have a good sized victim services unit. And actually we team up with Garden City a lot, more than any other agency for victim services. And we have a big fleet service unit. We have to service over 320 different vehicles because of all the things that we do. So we have our own on-site shop and fuel pumps. It's pretty handy because it's a busy operation. Finance, one of the things that are near and dear to my heart, because if we overspend, then I am personally liable for overspending at the end of the year. So if I come up short $100,000, the commissioners are well within their right to say, Matt Clifford, you owe us $100,000. I imagine it has to do with some crazy sheriff back in the old days that just blew all his money all the time. But they manage our $115 million budget. They do a really great job. And as all of you probably know, we're deep into budget season already. So that's what's on my mind. Your chief mentioned it first thing when I met him, and it had to cringe that I was talking about it as I walked out the door on my way to this meeting. And then we run our own human resources independent of Ada County because we are the biggest chunk of the county and we have such specialized jobs. We have to have our own human resources to manage that. One of the things that actually your chief brought up to me was our data analytics team runs a crime map for Ada County, and Boise City recently started doing some of their own, but they kind of mine all that data from us. And it was something that we never did with Garden City. And Chief Stanbaugh brought it up. How come our crime map's not on there? And now that you have switched over to the ITS, we can start doing that for you, because that's how we farm that information out, is through the ITS system that does all your report writing. And so just another benefit of you getting on that system. One of the things we do through all of these things with patrol and the jail is a lot of community engagement. We have our own community engagement team. They do so many things all over the county, including National Night Out. Our canine unit's very active with canine demonstrations and drug education, especially with kids. We go to all the contract cities have all of their events. We're of course part of that security and interact during those events. And then we do a lot of, social media crime prevention, as most places do. We do some really pretty cool outreach with some of our communities that maybe are not familiar with the criminal justice system. We had 2 years in a row, the last 2 years, we did a program called Navigating the Ada County Criminal Justice System. And we brought in agencies from all over the county. And basically it was focused a lot on our immigrant population, where English is the second language. So they can help them understand like what's really happening if they have to get through the criminal justice system. And it's a big timeline where a dispatcher comes and talks first, and then a police officer, and then somebody from the courts, and just kind of walks you all the way even on to probation and other programs. Really cool program, and we're going to do an offshoot of it this year as well. Here's one of the things that I'm not sure the public even understands is out there. We have what's called the Ada County Sheriff's Youth Foundation. In Idaho, if you register your vehicle under the youth plate shown on the screen, $25 from your initial registration goes to the sheriff's office, and $15 from the renewal. That goes specifically into a nonprofit that is managed by the sheriff's office that helps at-risk youth. So we partner up with Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Boys and Girls Club, and a couple other things with the money that we get from these license plates. So when you see that license plate out there, that's actually, and some people I think don't realize it, even when they've registered under that plate, they're actually giving back to the community by providing funds for at-risk youth. One of the other things that we did through our victim services unit, I started 2 years ago to do No Shave November, and we've never been allowed to do this at the sheriff's office until I became the sheriff. And I was walking through the building, and you can see there's a bake sale right here, and our victim services unit was having that bake sale for the victim fund. And I said, well, you're having a bake sale for the victim fund. Well, how much money is in the victim fund? And they said, well, none. That's why we're having a bake sale. And I just thought we could probably do better than that. So We did No Shave November. In the first year, we raised $10,000, and this year we raised 11,600 or 11,300. We take a chunk of that and give it to towards cancer research. We take a chunk and we give it towards the Ada County Sheriff's Employee Association's Benevolent Fund, and we take a big chunk of that and give it to our victim fund. So they are able to help victims on the fly with hotel rooms, gas, toiletries, all kinds of things that people don't realize. When victims come to us, sometimes they have nothing, or they have things, but they can't return to them. So this fund at least assists them in some way to get to a little bit more normalcy in their lives. And I also thought I let them do it for 2 months, but I also thought it was crazy that when we do this, our professional staff, they can already have beards. So they can pay $30 instead of the $50 for the beard, and they can wear jeans 1 day a week. So I always say it's kind of funny. We raise, over $11,000 with jeans and beards. So you can really see where people care about what's going on in their lives. Our Emergency Communications Bureau, we run the largest dispatch center in the state of Idaho. In 2023, we took over 500,000 calls in and out of our dispatch center. 150,000 of those were 911 calls, and we get about just over 1,300 calls a day. The dispatch center dispatches for all fire, police, and EMS in Ada County. So it's pretty handy that it's centralized. There are a number of dispatch centers all over the nation that use different models, but I've seen a lot of them use this model. It's efficient because everything is right there in one room. All the dispatchers are cross-trained, and the knowledge that's in the room can help solve problems all over the county for any emergency service. And one thing that happened here in the last couple of years, and we just finished up this year with the legislatures, we were able to get dispatchers categorized as first responders so that they receive some of the same benefit that we receive as police, fire, and EMS. We really kind of took that on our shoulders because we saw the stresses that they went under, that they go under, while we really do have a lot of physical stress on us, and there's a lot of danger. Some of the things they do are so stressful that it causes them actual physical issues and a lot of emotional issues. The things they do in that dispatch center are pretty crazy, really honorable. They're really good people that could be on the phone talking to a suicidal person for 1 second and then get disconnected, and the only other choice they have is to go to the next call for service, which could be somebody saying my dog's lost. So a lot of ups and downs in their day to day. A lot of unknowns in their day to day because all they can do is hear, where we get on scene and we have all of our senses with us. And it really eats on them, but they're really great people. They all love their job and they do a great job every day. Court Services Bureau. Can't remember if I came here and talked about the bond before, but we talked a lot about these programs before the bond election and about how many people that we're really supervising outside the walls of our jail versus inside the walls. Those all run through the Court Services Bureau. So alternative sentencing, pretrial. We have the largest misdemeanor probation team in the state. By statute, we must do a lot of civil functions for the public. So the sheriffs handle evictions and civil service paperwork all over the county. Last year, we served about just over 8,100 in-person court documents. So the civil team is pretty busy. It's a special team of deputies, and that's all they do all day. We run the court security for the largest courthouse in the state of Idaho. So we are in charge of the court marshals, the security company that's there, and the deputies that run security. It's kind of all-encompassing trifecta, but we supervise all of that to make sure we have a secure courthouse. Also in there are transports and extraditions. We did about over 1,200 transports last year outside of Ada County. I think about 68 of those were outside the state. So if you have someone that is wanted in Ada County for a felony and they end up in jail in Georgia or Alabama or something, it's the duty of the sheriff to go and retrieve those people and bring them before the court. So I have a whole team of transport deputies that do nothing but run all over the nation, run all over the state and the county. taking people to and from court, to and from doctor's visits, or, taking them to, mental hospitals, those types of things. They're very, very busy people. And then we have our jail services. I always joke that there's more people that live and work in this jail than were in my hometown growing up, and which is absolutely true. But the jail runs like a small town, really. You have to feed and clothe 1,000 inmates a day. You have to make sure they all get medical attention. We have a large health services unit. I employ about 30 different nursing staff. And of course, you got to do 1,000 people's laundry and cook 1,000 people's meals. So our kitchen does about 4,000 meals a day. You see in 2023, our average daily population was 1,005. Of those 1,005, usually just around 90% of those are in there for felonies. So we always hear a lot, especially on social media and things. Well, your jail wouldn't be so full if you'd stop locking people up for stupid misdemeanor crimes. There are no people like that in our jail. They always usually cite marijuana, but there's nobody sitting in the Ada County Jail on a standalone marijuana charge. They usually have something attached to it, like burglary or something like that. So through all those programs, through court services, we make sure that we're supervising the right people outside the jail and the right people inside. Usually, day to day, there's about 2,300 people that we supervise outside the jail versus the 1,000 that are inside. So it kind of shows you how many people that we're keeping out of the jail, so that we don't have to pay for them to be there. Now we pay for them to be monitored, but it's still a little cheaper. We saved about 34,000 jail days last year, and I did the quick math in my office before I came here, and it was well over $4 million taxpayer dollars, which doesn't have wrapped into it any kind of risk. So just the risk alone is worth a lot of money. One of the things that we're doing inside the jail to help people, help people get forward in life is we started the ServSafe certification. So inmates run our kitchen, and we can put them through a program that gets them certified to work in kitchens anywhere here in Idaho. And so when they get out, they actually have a little bit of a leg up from anybody else who's applying to serve food in a restaurant. They don't have to go through that certification. They already have it and can put it on their resume. One of the other things we have is a sewing program in the jail, and that is that's pretty cost saving for us. They make all the uniforms, repair all the uniforms, repair blankets, mattresses, all of that. And they also make quilts for the Linus program. So they'll make these quilts and they donate them to needy children so that they have blankets. Switching gears a little bit, just to highlight our Ada County Sheriff's Employee Association. It is a nonprofit that's funded by dues and donations. We have 2 events every year. The Back to School Shop with a Sheriff, which actually we usually have multiple agencies that we invite to do that with us. And then in Christmas, we do an Adopt a Family, which is not as big a program. It's a little bit lower key, where we just identify a couple of families and get their children the gifts that they need for Christmas. The Back to School one is focused more on clothing, so that we know kids have what they need to go back to school and feel comfortable and confident when they get to their new grade. So this is my shameless plug that I always force in there on, if you click on that QR code, we are hiring, as always. We are pretty lucky. I think we have almost every one of our 400 commission spots filled. Have all but one of my dispatch spots filled. We're doing, in fact, so 851 positions was our last count. And last week I had 11 open at 851. So I think that's saying we're doing something right, I hope. But I put this picture of all these successful women in our agency, because one thing that we need in our commission spots, especially, are women. If I hired every woman that walked in the door in a commission spot, I'd still be nowhere what I need, because we just don't have them applying. And so I think there are a lot of women out there that don't know that they can do the job. And so it's been a big goal of ours through our recruiting team to try and identify women that just help them realize that, hey, you can be an applicant here and we really think you can do the job. That doesn't mean that every woman walks in off the street is going to be qualified and be able to, but I think there are so many more out there that are not coming in and applying. In this picture, we have a jail sergeant, 2 patrol deputies, a property clerk, a nurse, and one of our data analysts. So we have so many jobs that we're hiring for, but we really need uniformed badge carrying women. So if you know somebody, just send them to the website. All right, with that, I would stand for any questions if you have any.
Questions? You know, in my experience, we've had a great relationship with the sheriff's office. They have traffic reconstruction folks that can help us if we have a serious or fatal accident in town. We had a bomb scare down here. It would probably be the sheriff's office that would respond with technical expertise to help deal with that. So it's a great relationship we have. Matt, you get along really well with all the chiefs, and I, in my experience with other areas around the state, that's Ada County's in an exceptionally good place as far as our inner agency cooperation and relationships that have. I mean, it's everybody's there to help the other agency, whether it's another city or the sheriff helping the cities, or, you know, God forbid you need something from us. You know the guy back there, you just make the call. So anyway, we really appreciate you, appreciate the agency and what you do. And you got your hands full all the time. I know that. So thanks so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would kind of echo what you say. You know, in the last few years, I think that all of the public in the Treasure Valley should know that we've had quite an alignment at the top level of the agencies, from Caldwell to Boise. And I think since we're growing so much and growing so close together so rapidly, that's the thing we need to do. And we all, as agencies, have things we're good at, and we really share those skill sets. And it is a nice thing to know that you can pick up the phone. I can call Chief Sandoval and say, you know, I need help with anything, and he's going to be there to help me figure it out. You know, and also to follow up on you got your hands full. That's kind of the reason I come here too, is to say, you know, policing is part of what we do, and we're proud of that. But I think a lot of people don't realize that in Idaho, a sheriff's office is statutorily mandated to do a lot of things, and we do a lot of things that aren't statutorily mandated. But you know, when you look at jails, courts, you know, not everyone does probation in the state, but we do probation. I mean, all those things. You know, it's not what you think of when you say, well, I'm a law enforcement agency. And by the way, I'm hiring for nurses and warehouse workers and mechanics and like all of these things that are not typical of a law enforcement agency to hire for. So that's kind of why I come here, to help you and your citizens understand that while Ada County Sheriff doesn't patrol in Garden City, and you have a fantastic police department here, we still are part of your community. We still give you services in a lot of different ways that people may not understand. So that's also part of my reason coming here, is to make sure that everybody knows we're here for them, and that we have such good cooperation with the police agencies that they should feel good at night, sleeping good at night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, we do feel good at night.
Yeah.
You know, and you're welcome to drive through anytime you want.
I have once or twice in my career.
I know. Well, it's always fun to see your cars in town. We see Boise in town.
Yeah.
They can follow whatever they need to be following goes. So anyway. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Go enjoy your dinner.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, item 6 is monthly staff reports. Those are in your packets. And again, feel free to, if you have any questions, talk to the appropriate department head and they can probably answer those. I didn't know what a hoogla was until today. That was in the library staff report, but now I know, and I'm not telling you. You guys are gonna have to find out for yourself. So, what was the other one, Lisa? The
Toonies, the toonie boxes.
Toonie boxes. I didn't know what those were either. So, anyway. A lot of empty, yes.
I do have a question for Director Schmidt. Thank you for your time. I reviewed the staff report and I just had a question about the vandalism that was cited in one of the parks, and as it appears to be an ongoing problem. How can the city council support your department, or how can we work together as a city to find a solution or a deterrent or whatever needs to happen?
Mayor, Council President Page, it's a great question. So and I'm assuming you're referring to Pam Beaumont Riverfront Park over by the Boys and Girls Club.
That's correct.
Okay, that new playground surface that was installed last year, as fantastic as it is, highly susceptible to vandalism, spongy. I think there appears to be a group or whomever it is that just sits and picks at it with whatever they have, a stick or a knife or whatever, and pretty soon just damages that, which then allows moisture to get down in there, and then we have bigger problems. So kind of getting to what can be done. I'm not absolutely sure right now. We've reached out to the company, the local company who put that down for us, and I guess I've not heard back if they have a solution for that. I'm guessing they don't. In my mind, I'm thinking if you put anything on there to harden that surface so that it's more or less likely to be damaged, it reduces the amount of give it has, which is the amount of give it has is based on the highest piece of equipment in the park. So I think if we start messing with that, it changes the safety ability of it, which could lead to some liability issues, you know, if you don't have it. It's still better than bark. But I think there's there was some engineering calculations that were done to get it to the sponginess, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I think if we do something to reduce it or change it, that may get us into some issues. So we just keep doing what we're doing, you know, to the best we can. We have cameras on site, but I think the cameras have helped us in one situation over there. I think the police department, with their help, they've found the two young folks who were part of the problem. And I'm not sure there's really a mechanism to deal with that, you know, short of they send them to their home and it's kind of a parental thing. And, you know, they're just kids. I mean, the ones that we've dealt with were young kids. So I don't know the best solution. You know, we have cameras that we do the best we can with those, but if they're not up close and personal with it, it's really hard to get an image unless somebody at the police, one of the SROs, actually sees it and goes, I know who that is. That's probably it happens, but not highly likely. So I think with all that being said, I don't have a great answer for you, except we're going to continue trying to fix it as it goes. And I'm hoping that over time, people will lose interest in damaging it, you know, and I'm not sure if it's a group that has just moved in and we're going to deal with this until they move out, which I think a lot of vandalism's like that when we see it sporadic like this. But I apologize for not having a better answer.
How many structures, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, Director Schmidt, how many structures would need to be reduced in height or modified to allow for a different surface to be adequate?
Mayor, Council President Page, that I would have to reach out to the local firm that we deal with on this and see what their recommendation would be. I just had a meeting with the Urban Renewal Board the other day, and I think one of the things we're going to look at is between now and the sunset of the current urban renewal is that we would go in and not necessarily redesign that playground area, but maybe buy new structures. And maybe at that time, we could talk about maybe reducing the height. I think it would kind of be a crime to go in there and reduce the length of the slide because we need to get it lower so that we can do some other application for the surface. It's unfortunate that there's one group of people that ruin it, as always, for everybody else. But that's certainly something that we can look at. And if urban renewal is agreeable, maybe we could do it sooner than later. We have about 9 years or so left in the current urban renewal. Within that time would be when we would want to do this. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I wonder if there would be a opportunity to do some educational work with the HOAs and the Boys and Girls Club and those people who use that area to inform people who have eyes on that area more frequently than we might of the implications and the costs and frankly the safety risk that it poses. Maybe that's an avenue that we could have a force multiplier simply through engaging with the community more about what our needs are to maintain our facilities in the way that they should be. It is going to take everyone to do that. I'm sure your department doesn't have the staffing to put someone there as a sentinel at all hours. But it's a concern of mine. And I think that's a park that I would point to as an area that I was always most proud of of our parks. It's one of the top 3, I would say, and I'd sure like to see it stay that way. And one of the more heavily used parks.
yeah, Council President Page, that park is by far the most used park in this city, and within the last 5 years has grown exponentially. The sheer number of people, and it's because of that. It's because of the playground. It's because of the basketball court that's there now. There's a little walking area, picnic table is a big green area. And there are a lot of new people who live there. I mean, there are lots of apartments. There are 2 more big complexes that are about to open within 2 blocks of that park, which will just add more people, hopefully not more problems to it. But
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
Mr. Schmidt, or Dr. Schmidt, just one observation, just because I've been asked like 3 times in the last week. So we just finished the nature path that's open. Thank you for getting that done. I don't know if there's any communication that the city can do on Facebook or whatever, because everybody seems to think that going east from the West Bridge is now going to be under repair and closed for, I'm not sure how long, but they think that that's actually our Garden City rather than the Ada County. And so I'm having to remind people, what, you're closing the Greenbelt again? That's really not our deal. So just.
Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Jacobs, that unfortunately, this is the opportune time to go in and repair Greenbelt. And you're right that as of this morning, that path was closed completely. And it is an Ada County project, and we've done the best we can on social media without just coming right out and saying, listen, if you have a problem or a concern, please contact Ada County Parks and Waterway Commission. I think what's happening with the city is we are taking, excuse me if I don't know all the correct terminology, but Facebook posts that they put and resending them out. Excuse me, just kind of to give people an idea that we understand the frustration, but this is, if you want a better pathway system, there are some growing pains with it. And I think June 7 is the scheduled date for this project to be finished. And at that point, the Greenbelt every year just gets better and better. And once all the concrete's in, there won't be any more maintenance on that except restriping for years to come.
It needed to be done. I mean, that
Abs-
section was pretty bad shape, and I don't think anybody's arguing that. I think it's like. I think they think it's a Garden City project, not any county project, so any signage or anything like that pointed that way.
Yeah.
Cause I've already been asked about it multiple times.
Mayor Councilman Jacobs, the Ada County has taken pictures of the signs that the signage they put up and posted it on their website.
Okay, good.
And we redirect people to that. And it's pretty clear. It has the dates on it. It has, I believe, if I remember reading it correctly, that it has who's doing the work and who's doing the work for which agency. So I think people that are really concerned about it should really take a look at the Garden City Facebook page. And that should direct them in the right way.
I'll point
So,
out that.
yeah.
It was just, I thought it was just kind of funny that they thought it was Garden City.
Well,
Their
we
sign didn't, but
we
I
get that a
it.
lot. Yeah, we get that section and the section behind where the new park is going in, but in the Ada County Fairgrounds. There's an assumption, which I understand, that it's Garden City because it's Garden City, So, but we have to explain that a lot to folks, that there's some jurisdictional boundaries which are odd, but we don't have jurisdiction in that area, nor do we have it on the west side of town to the West Bridge.
Oh, thank
So-
you. It's good it's getting done. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, Development Services Department notice of decision. That information starts on page 50.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
council members, just a question here, did anyone have after reviewing the administrative actions since our last council meeting, does any council member wish to review a project for fear that it constitutes a significant adverse impact?
No.
No,
All right, then, Mr. Mayor, I would move, seeing no requests to review the administrative actions, I would move to sustain the administrative actions found on page 50 and 51 of the council packet.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Jacobs,
yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to items under G. We have one item there. This is an item continued from our March 11th meeting involving, resolution 1170-24. Council, as a reminder, at that meeting, I raised the a concern whether this was the correct vehicle to address what had the effect of a code change. I asked legal to review that. They've done that. That information is in your packet. And I think that's something we need to get clarified so that which is a separate issue from whether a separate issue from the merits of a request or a suggestion to change something. So everyone's had an opportunity, hopefully, to review that in the packet. So Council President Page, you have a
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
course of action.
I would move to decline to consider this request to amend on a procedural ground that that changes to Garden City Code can't be made by resolution and without prejudice. For a reasoned statement, I would point the applicant to pages 52 to 55 of the legal memo. Moreover, I would move to inform the applicant of the proper procedural vehicle for requesting this via the code amendment process. And again, all without prejudice.
Okay.
I would second.
Had a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none? Call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the business on our agenda this evening. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.